أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم وأنيبوا إلى ربكم وأسلموا له من قبل أن يأتيكم العذاب ثم لا تنصرون واتبعوا أحسن ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم من قبل أن يأتيكم العذاب بغتة وأنتم لا تشعرون صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين. I would just like to give a translation of what I have read in Arabic, taken from chapter 39, verses 53 to 55. And I translate it as follows. Exclaim, O my devotees, those who are not concerned about their character, do not lose hope about the resources of Allah's attributes. Allah keeps secret your faults, all of them. Indeed, He is extremely forgiving, ever rewarding. Turn again and again to your nurturer and humble yourself to Him just in case misfortune comes to you and then you cannot get help. Follow the path of excellence that is selected specially for you from your nurturer, just in case misfortune comes to you unexpectedly while you don't notice. Ramadan is unfortunately primarily recognized as a period of fasting. Why do I say unfortunately? First of all, there are those who do not fast or cannot fast. Is Ramadan meaningless for them? But more important, we must understand and realize that the Quran was revealed in the month of Ramadan, and the Prophet and his companions were not prescribed fasting until after 11 years. In other words, after the Quran was revealed in the month of Ramadan, there were 11 Ramadans in which there were no fasting. And the Prophet Muhammad himself fasted for only 9. Afterwards, when the command was given to fast, until he died. And therefore, we have to appreciate that there is something more to Ramadan than just a fast. And it doesn't mean that if you don't fast, for whatever reason, that this month is meaningless for you and the observance of the month and the benefits of the month are denied to you. That is not so. Unfortunately, again, fasting has been used for individual gain. Many people fast because they want blessings, or they want training in their health to control their diet, and for many reasons. Very good reasons that may be, but usually it is for the individual's benefit. We have to understand that even if 1 billion Muslims, among all the Muslims, if everybody don't fast, but among the Muslim community, if you have just 1 billion Muslims fasting, or less than that, or more than that, this world will still not be a place of peace, a place of Islam. Or mere fasting doesn't make the world a better world. unless it makes ourselves better human beings. And that does not always happen in every case. Recently, I saw a video clip in which 27 acres of land was given to what is known as BAPS, Swami Narayan Temple in Abu Dhabi, in the UAE, United Arab Emirates. And there was built the largest Hindu temple in Southeast Asia. The video clip showed iftar being hosted for dignitaries, while the Muslims of Gaza are starving in Ramadan. No doubt, we know recently there was an opening of a Hindu mandir in India when a masjid was broken down, known as the Babri Masjid. And it's not a cause of dispute. The issue is that Muslims are welcome in places of Hindu worship, Christian worship, even Jewish worship, and other places. They are welcome. But the heart of the Muslim doesn't welcome even other Muslims, because there is an attitude of considering other Muslims as kafirs and outside the pale of Islam, outside the religion of Islam. So while the temples of other people are welcoming Muslims, the heart of the Muslim is unwelcoming even to other Muslims. And we are evidence of that. So my dear sisters and brothers, on this day of Eid, it is important to realize that yes, Allah has given us the gift of the fast and the gift of the feast. For Eid al-Fitr is a day of feasting, just as Ramadan, for many of us, was a month of fasting. But one of the important things we need to appreciate is that if we have abstained from Allah, many people have abstained from food and from drink and from many other things. But the question is, have I abstained from Allah? Have I kept away from God? One doesn't need to fast to remember God. Even if a non-fasting person can have thoughts about God, especially in the month of Ramadan. It's an opportunity given to us to focus on the divine being. So if we have abstained or kept away from Allah so far, now is the time to turn back. And that is what is called in Islam tawbah. Tawbah means to make an about turn, to turn around. I've often said, when you're walking, if you walk towards the light, your shadow is behind you. Darkness is behind you. When you walk away from the light, your shadow is in front of you and you're walking in your own darkness. The Quran tells us that Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Walk towards Him and you'll be bathed with light. You'll see your way in challenges in life, old age, illness, financial problems, physical, moral, spiritual problems. People go into all sorts of mental problems, depression, and so many other things. Facing Allah, those problems are behind us. But if we turn away from Allah, we walk in the shadow, the darkness of the shadow that we ourselves have created. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what are you doing with your body? What are you doing with yourself? You feed it, the physical body, you fast it. For those who are able to fast. But who benefits? You as a person, each and every one of us as a person, when we feed our body or when we fast it, will benefit. But do others benefit? And that is why Islam must not be confined only to certain pillars that we have established which will give us sawab or blessings in the life hereafter. We must look at Islam as service to our human personality. I recall many years ago, right in this mosque, one of our members was one to give, female to give khutbah in this mosque, in fact in the Western Hemisphere. Dr. Anisa Ahmad had mentioned that people tend to think that you're a Muslim if you dress up like an Arab or a Pakistani or some Eastern person. And they don't realize that true Muslims are the doctors, the nurses, the engineers, the street worker, all who are serving the cause of Islam. Those who take care of the elderly. It doesn't matter what religion you belong to. It doesn't matter what race you belong to. What matters is your attitude and your approach to your fellow human beings. That is what Islam is. We see, for example, in the present conflicts in the world, that whereas the Prophet Muhammad was being called, or we are told that he spread Islam with the sword, which is a false statement. Today we are seeing democracy being spread with the missile. The larger countries of the world don't want peace. They want more and more missiles to be produced, to kill more and more people. Months pass, years pass, no peace is given, but the arms and ammunition industry ramps up increases the amount of missiles and weapons that they are producing. This is the kind of world we are living in today, where belligerence, where violence, not only by the fanatic Muslims or Christians or Hindus, violence is there even by the nations of the world in creating hatred and enmity. And there is no peace. So the Quran points out to us that our religion and the way in which we live our religion must benefit not only ourselves, but others as well. And more important, it must really be a truly service to Allah. Fi sabilillah. It must be in the way of Allah. And so the verses of the Quran that I've recited addresses three important issues as to how we can make this change in our own life. First of all, it says, do not lose hope if you have been careless with regards to your character, your personality. If you have been careless, all of us make errors and mistakes, we have shortcomings. We don't believe we are born in sin, but it doesn't mean that we don't commit errors in some way or the other. And we don't have to believe in one thing or the other in order to be saved from the punishment of sin. What we have to do, the Quran says, is recognize that our Creator has created us. He knows all our shortcomings and all our talents, all the strengths that we have and the weaknesses that we have, and the circumstances and the situations. Allah knows everything. And it is not because He knows everything He's sitting idle. He has given us guidance, and that is the key to the teachings of the Quran, of the month of Ramadan. It is the month in which the Quran was revealed as a guidance for everyone, for all human beings. It is a guidance. So the Quran tells us that do not lose hope about the resources of Allah's attributes. How Allah functions in our lives is through His attributes. His attribute of forgiveness, for example. His attribute of all-knowing. His attribute of the guide. All of these are available to us to lead us through the challenges that we may have in life. And most important, what the Quran tells us, that He keeps secret your faults, all of them. Allah does not expose our shortcomings. If we go to God and we tell Him, I have this shortcoming, I have this weakness in me, O Allah, whatever it may be, whether I lie, whether I drink, whatever I do, I'm confessing to you. He does not go and blab this all over the world to everybody. He keeps it secret. The Prophet Muhammad is reported to have said that whoever conceals the faults of another Muslim, Allah conceals his faults on the day of judgment. But Allah is the greatest concealer in that He does not expose the faults that we have when we confess ourselves to Him. So we have that confidence in God of confidentiality. The only being that we can trust. That's why we call our faith in God Iman. We have full confidence and trust in God that He will not disclose our shortcomings. And so the second verse tells us to turn again and again to Allah. He is your Rabb. The Rabb means the one who will nurture you. Don't just turn once. Constantly turn to God. On a regular basis. If not 5 times, 1 time. If not once a day, once a week. As often as you can, turn to Allah. He will help you to overcome those shortcomings. To be able to manage them. That is called in Islam taqwa, which is, I translate as risk management. There are risks in our lives, there are challenges in our lives, and we can manage them with the attributes of Allah. And so the Quran says, ittaqullah. Manage your risks, manage your challenges with the attributes of Allah. And then it goes in the third verse and tells us, follow the path of excellence that He has selected for you. But this is something which I found very strange in the Quran. The uniqueness of Allah in dealing with each and every one of our problems. It is not that one size fits all. Believe in the Prophet Muhammad and you'll be saved on the Day of Judgment. Believe in Jesus Christ, believe in Ram or Krishna and you'll be saved. No. Each and every one of us have different circumstances. We have different resources. We have a different environment. We have different issues. And Allah tailors the solution to our problems individually to us to be able to face that situation. Allah will not send me to get a brain operation if there's something wrong with my heart or if there's something wrong with my finances, unless they are in some way connected. So then the Quran says, follow the path of excellence. He will give you an excellent path that He has selected for you. So what then is the importance of the month of Ramadan? Why the Quran was revealed? It tells us. The Quran tells us why it was revealed. It was revealed, first of all, as a guidance for all human beings. The Quran is not a book for Muslims alone. Recently, I was having a discussion with a member of another faith system. And they said, it's important for us to bring all religions together. I said, yes, that's good. But you know, there's one thing that the Quran tells us. It says that we must believe in what is revealed before us, just as what is revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. In other words, we must accept other scriptures as well. I said, I cannot discuss with you the good or bad points of your faith if I don't accept the Old Testament or the New Testament or the Vedas or the Gita also. And you cannot discuss with me the Quran and says that the Quran says this and you don't accept the Quran. So the first thing the Quran says is, let us accept the founders of all the religions and let us accept the scriptures of other religions. And then we can now sift out what is called Furqan. We can discriminate. We can separate truth from falsehood. So the Quran says that the Quran is a guidance for all human beings because it's a compendium. It's a collection of all scriptures, the righteous scriptures. Not the false doctrines of other scriptures. It corrects that. But it's a compendium of all scriptures. Secondly, it says, it is Hudal Linnas, and then it says, وَبَيِّنَا مِنَ الْهُدَى. It has an explanation of the guidance. What does that mean? It means it clarifies what that guidance is. It tells us the purpose of the guidance, the results of the guidance. If the Quran is guiding us to what? What is this guiding us to? To paradise? To Allah? It is guiding us to the building of our personality and character, to make ourselves better human beings, to live in harmony, not hostility, to live in peace, to live in Islam. Living in Islam doesn't mean living in a Muslim community or living among Muslims. It means living internally that I have peace with myself, peace with my fellow human beings, regardless of who they may be, and peace with my Creator. That is what Islam is. And in order to achieve that, we have to submit to the will of the Divine Being. So the Quran, when it says it is Bayyina min al-Huda, it means it gets to the point of guidance. What is the purpose of the guidance? And as I said, each and every one of us need individual guidance because we have individual issues. And then it says it is a Furqan. And Furqan means a separation, a differentiation. It gives what I would consider individualistic. It gives you individual guidance. The guidance that will suit your situation as separate from others. It's not one size fits all. Allah gives guidance especially for you to suit your circumstances. And therefore, whenever Ramadan comes, and we are celebrating Eid al-Fitr, which is a joy and happiness for the guidance He has given us in Ramadan for the rest of the year. But whenever Ramadan comes, let us all remember, it is not only fasting, it is an opportunity to take a break from all our studies in our professions, our schoolwork, our whatever it is, recipes or so, and focus on the recipe for spiritual health. Try to read some of the Quran during the month of Ramadan, if not at any other time. We must realize that Islam came to remove what is called Jahiliyyah. It's translated as ignorance, and ignorance in Arabic as well as in English has two meanings. One is that you don't know. You are ignorant, you are unaware of what is happening. And the other one, of course, is an attitude of misbehavior. Person is an ignorant person. They want to argue and misbehave. The word jahil in both ways in Arabic means exactly both things. But more important, what the Arabs in the Prophet Muhammad's time were ignorant of, and what caused them to behave in a belligerent manner to each other, and the Quran describes them as the worst people on the face of the earth, was because they were ignorant about their Creator. They were ignorant of Allah. They believed in God. The Kaaba was called the Baytullah. Prophet's father was named Abdullah, the servant of Allah. And in fact, they had 360 idols in the Kaaba, which means they were searching for God. They were looking at different religions to find God, and they couldn't find Him because they were looking in the wrong direction, in the wrong place. And so the Prophet Muhammad was given the first command. Look, these people are searching for God, as people today are searching for God. Ikra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. Gather them together with the attributes of Allah. That God is not an anthropomorphic being with hands and feet. That He will travel all over the world, or He could do this, that, and the other. God is a being of attributes, of love, of kindness, of truth, of mercy, of forgiveness, of patience, of justice, and you can go on of the attributes of Allah. And these attributes are not found anywhere, nowhere in the universe, because they exist only in the Divine Being. Take away God from the world. Without Allah, there is no God, there is no Creator, there is nothing. These attributes exist in the Divine Being, and if we take God away from the earth, there's nobody to thank, nobody to help us. And that's what the Quran is pointing out to us here. So, Jahiliyyah really means ignorance about Allah and how He functions. And if today there are Muslims who are still ignorant about Allah and how He functions, you will find them behaving in the same way as in the Prophet's time. Attacking each other, condemning each other, attacking people of other faiths and other religions, and making a whole mess into the world. The only thing that really saves the world nowadays is materialism. At least they have something to focus on, their material progress in life. But that is taking people away from God, because they are so focused on the building of the economy. There is no reason to propagate Islam. It is said, if you were to look at some of the remarks of the building of the temple in Abu Dhabi, it's a tourist booth, it's a tourist attraction. It brings in income to the country. So 27 acres are given to the Hindu community, so it will bring in people, it will boost the economy as a land of interfaith tolerance. But as I said, temples, churches, synagogues are welcoming Muslims. But the heart of the Muslim is not welcoming to another Muslim. So the Quran gives us a solution. It says, Kunu ma'as-sadiqeen. Kunu ma'as-sadiqeen. Be alongside those who are trustworthy. You need to trust people. You are sick, you go to a doctor, you trust the doctor will give you the best advice. You have a legal problem, you go to a lawyer. You look for the best lawyer and you have confidence that person will give you the best legal advice. You have any other issue, you have a financial issue, you go to a banker, you trust them. You have a religious problem, you go to an imam, a missionary, a maulana, because you trust him. So the Quran says, Kunu ma'as-sadiqeen. There are people that you can trust. You can come to them with your problems. But you must understand that these people must ultimately lead you to the one you can trust the most, and that is Allah, that is our Creator. So if you come to me with a problem, you're depressed, you have any issue, you're ill, I will guide you as to how to manage that with the remembrance of God. Without denying the help of medical treatment or legal assistance or financial help from anywhere else. So the Quran says, you can't make, from these teachings of the Quran we understand, you can't make a better world until you make a better self. You can't make the world better until you make yourself better. So having gone through Ramadan, whether you fast or you don't fast, today remember that we are celebrating really the end of the month in which the Quran was revealed. The fasting is over, but the Quran is still available. We provide Jummah khutbahs, we provide live streaming, we provide opportunity for you in the comfort of your homes to learn and understand this Quran, to be able to pray, to be able to communicate, to be able to understand the nature of the divine being and how important God is in your life. So yes, people may tell you that they are pillars of Islam and you do this and you do that, you read so much sunnah, you read this at so-and-so time and whatever. But if it doesn't give you an awareness of your Creator, what is the use of all that? The Quran tells us, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Damn those who are saying their prayers and it has no effect on their mind and their attitude. The Quran tells us that. The Quran itself tells us that the Prophet Muhammad would say, my people, by my Lord, my people have taken this Quran and thrown it behind their back, they have abandoned it. Because people are today brainwashed with a lot of what we call hadith. And they abandon the Quran. This is a wonderful book. And so, the Quran tells us in chapter 24, verse 51, it says, the attitude of those who are confident of their ability to change their ways and never believe that you are so sinful that you cannot change your way. There's a common analogy that I have found in many religions, where it says, clothing appeared to the river, the water that was flowing, and said, I want to bathe in you, but I'm too dirty. And the water of the river said to the clothing, but if you don't come in me, how can I cleanse you? It's the same. I feel I'm sin. I don't think even God will accept me. Even God will not forgive me. But if you don't go to God, how would you know? The only being to really cleanse us of any shortcomings and ill will and anger and anything, depression and illness, is the divine being. He has created us. He has created all the diseases. He has created all the mental conditions. Everything He has created. If we don't go to Him, how can we cleanse ourselves? How can we overcome our problems? So the Quran tells us that the attitude of those who are confident, if you are confident of your ability to change your ways, that when you are called to Allah and you are called to His Messenger, so that they can lay down conditions among them, they can lay down the guidelines for you to follow, to cleanse yourself of your shortcomings. They respond. You must respond. What is that response? I take heed and I will follow the path that Allah has laid down for me. So on this day of Eid, let us grasp that opportunity to focus not so much on the blessings that we have gotten and weeping that Ramadan has gone and we have to wait for the next one that we don't know even if we'll be alive. We should be grateful at this moment that we still have the opportunity to understand the Quran, to read it, to understand it, and to implement it in our lives. Once we make ourselves better human beings, we will make this world a better world. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quran al-Azim. Wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim. Innahu ta'ala jawadul kareem. Malikun badrur rahufur rahim. Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi. Wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlil fala hadiya lahu. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم واجعلنا منهم اللهم اخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم وَلَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ. In wishing you Eid Mubarak all and enjoy the rest of the day, I want to make this special appeal to all of you, especially the young working ones. We have spent a lot of time, effort and money in fixing our mosque. It's time we also fix our lives. And most important, we have a duty to fix our world. And you can do so through your cooperation, assistance, physically, morally, mentally, financially, the assistance that you give to the Ahmadiyya Anjuman Isha'at Islam. We have taken on this task with little resources. We don't need 27 acres from the Nahyan family in Abu Dhabi in order to spread Islam. Your forefathers, road workers, simple people, built this Jamaat, built this mosque, and carried on the work of a missionary for nearly 50 years now. You are more fortunate than they were. Their little pittance help us to reach this stage. You step up to the plate now and make your contributions on a monthly, annual basis so that we can not only use our own premises, but the technology to carry this message to all parts of the world. May Allah bless you all. Eid Mubarak, and I hand you back to the President of our Jamaat.